Good evening, and thank you for coming to the Southeast Delco School Board of Directors Business Meeting, Thursday, April 25th, 2024. We'll have a salute to the flag, a roll call. We'll have a salute to the flag, a moment of silence, and a roll call. Please stand. Thank you. Mr. Butler, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, you may, Madam President. Mr. Fowler,
Present.
Mrs. McGowan,
Present.
Ms. Womack,
Present.
Ms. Woodfolk,
Present.
Mrs. Barley,
Present.
Ms. Harris Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Lafferty,
Present.
Ms. Perry, excused, Ms. Monroe Whitsett,
Present.
Dr. Sanchez,
Present.
Mr. DiOrio,
Present.
Mr. Butler, present.
Thank you. Dr. Sanchez, I don't have any comments at this time. Dr. Sanchez, do you have the student board report?
Today, we do not have student board report. We have our students being recognized at an event, so we will bring them back next month.
Thank you. Do you have a superintendent's report?
I have a very short superintendent's report. As my first voting meeting, I wanted to start out by saying thank you to the entire Southeast Delco community. It's been a very busy first 9 days, traveling throughout not only the community, but also to all the schools. When I thank the board members for the warm welcome, also to the building administrators and the staff. I hope you've been seeing me out in your buildings. That's going to be a regular for me. And also to our students, I'm looking forward to cheering you on, whether it's at the Shrek Show, as I was there for their opening, or any of our athletic events. You will see me being part of your community, and I look forward to getting to know all of you. A couple of very brief announcements. Wanted to also say that I started out my first week by doing tours of our school. I wanted to see firsthand both the great things and the challenges that we are facing. So we've been out there getting to see firsthand some of the supports that the buildings need to make sure that we have the best possible buildings for our students to learn at, and we will be getting to work on that. Want to applaud Ms. Stephanie Woolley. She wasn't expecting this, but I've gotten to see firsthand the great work the HR is doing under her leadership. We've had a lot of work to be able to make sure we fill the majority of our positions, and we are at a low compared to where we were after the pandemic with open teaching positions. We still have work to do, but we are working really hard to make sure that those positions are filled, and we are starting the next school year as fully staffed as possible. So, Ms. Woolley, and to your team, thank you very much. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Second. It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the regular board business meeting, March 21st, 2024?
Motion. Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I so move.
Second. It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to accept the bill payment in the amount of $7,573,909.54?
Motion.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Oh, that was me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. There are no new business, means no old business items. New business, are there any questions on new business? Item A, education 1 through 9. Are there any questions or comments about item B, finance 1 through 7? Are there any questions or comments for item C, HR 1 to 13? Are there any comments or questions about item D, policy 1? Are there any questions on item E, property 1? Seeing none, are there any public comments on agenda items?
Madam President, there are, for agenda items. There is a comment from Lorraine Bauman, Academy Park, on the prom donation.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, one of them.
Oh, no, I'm
How
sorry.
everybody doing?
All comments are 3 minutes. Please state your, you already wrote your address, so you can just get
Yes.
right to it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, I am coming to the board to please ask to vote yes for the donation for the after prom. The class of 2024 for Academy Park really had a rough couple of years, for, back in 2020, they had COVID, so they wasn't able to celebrate for graduation, prom, little parties or whatever. So I would like for us to really have a good celebration for the after prom. We are having several different things, and I really need the donation. Sorry, guys, I'm a little nervous. Haven't spoken in front of people for a long time. And I would really need the support from family, the county, for, excuse me. I would just want the support from the council, and I would like from families and everybody to come and support the after prom. That's it. I'm kind of nervous, so sorry, y'all. But all in all, I would just like for you guys to please vote yes for the donation.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to call up Felicia Coffey about the after prom.
Ms. Coffey, please state your address for the record. You didn't put it on the card.
1023 North Street in Collingdale, PA.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if the board can vote yes for the after prom. I do know that the after prom, the donation for the after prom has been coming this way for years. And I know the teachers got paid, they got their raises, and that the after prom money does not affect what the teachers got paid, because that's on a separate budget, because that was from previous meetings that I've watched, that was already given to you guys from the state, so that's not a part of the after prom budget. And I just asked if you could give the after prom, because I don't know if any of you guys went last year, but I did go, and the way it was set up was simply amazing. And the last meeting, it was asked of the principal, how would he be able to, or would he be able to help towards the after prom? In my opinion, he was put on the spot, and that was very unprofessional for him to be put on the spot in front of the whole community like that. That should have been a private conversation, or if any. But I just asked if you please could reconsider these children enjoying the time after the prom, because you don't understand what that means for people that don't go in the prom, people who can't afford it, how much they were appreciative last year of that after prom. I was there, and I saw everyone in the community coming together, the way you walked in, their themes from the outside to the inside. It was like super amazing. So I hope you guys reconsider the amount, the $5,000 to be put towards the after prom and consider everything when you do make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Raquel Irons?
Raquel Irons, 83 Burnside Avenue. I'm actually speaking about the same thing that the previous two community members spoke. My question is a little bit different. I just want clarification. So Ms. Coffey just mentioned she knew that the $5,000, or in this case, the 2,500, comes out of different budgets. I wanted clarification because last week, is it coming out of the district money that the district always gives the after prom, or is it coming out of the money that they put Mr. Sharon on the spot last week? I just wanted a clarification.
So in years past, the allocation for the most part was, at the time it was approved, was not decided what account it would come out of until the end of the year. So the easiest way to look at it is that if, in this case, if the APHS principal account was deficient and didn't have enough money in it, then it would ultimately come out of fund balance because it's not budgeted expenditure. Outside of that, the conversation last week was that it would be charged to the principal's account.
Okay, and that is what I am here for, because I know right now there's other classes struggling, trying to get on trips because of not paying for the buses, and what constitutes one thing is more important than another class. Everybody's gonna say their class is the most important. So if you're gonna give 2,500 out of the budget for the prom, and I'm all for the after prom, my kids went and everything, I'm all for it. But I just also ask that you give 2,500 to the class of 2025 so they can take that trip to, on up to Dorney Park, since our transportation can't take them. I believe that every class should be able to dip into his budget. If we're doing it for one, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I like to see, I would like to see where my money goes, and I would like all the kids to have an opportunity, not just one set of kids. Thank you. Well, that's, I'm just saying, if it is coming out of his budget, then I would think that everybody would get a piece of the pie, not just one certain set of.
Excuse me, ladies,
Yes.
your time is up.
Don't kick me off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no more agenda items. May I have a motion for education items 1 through 9?
Motion.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. I thought somebody said something over here. Are there any questions? Any questions? Are there any questions? I have a question at this point. Seeing that this number 5, the amount for the after prom, I know that we had questions about how many students will be attending. Are we saying it doesn't matter how many students attend, we're still going to have the 2,500?
Madam President, may I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
I did try to get the numbers of how many students that will be at the after prom. At this point in time, it's going to be very hard for me to get the numbers because we have not received the permission slips just yet. So I don't know whether it's 35, I don't know if it's going to be 70, I don't know if it's going to be 100, over 100. So may I ask you, why are you asking how many students will be at the after prom?
Well, that was some of the dialogue last week during the meeting of the $5,000 for the 35 kids And it was other suggestions made, like having something on a Saturday, well, having it the next day in the parking lot by another board member, so that's why I'm bringing it up now. I don't want anybody on here to feel like they're just being dismissed. You may speak, Mr. Lafferty.
I suggested the barbecue the next day. Sometimes people take a look at money and it's not being used correctly, wisely. I understand the children's needs, but see, then I take a look at the kids in the district that may not go to prom. Mine is, if you're going to do the prizes, tone them down a little bit and have a drawing on Friday afternoon or the day of the prom, and let every kid in the district, every senior in the district, get a shot at one of those prizes, not just a small group.
Can I just say?
Okay,
but
yeah, but I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
So, just to be clear, After Prom is available to everyone. It's not just for the kids who are going to the prom. So if you go, you can attend. If you don't go, you can attend. As long as you are eligible to go to the prom, meaning you don't have, I believe it's like, don't have suspensions and all that going on. But other than that, you're eligible. So every child has the opportunity, it's just whether or not they go. And as far as getting numbers, we don't even know how many kids are going to the prom yet. So we can't just suddenly say, oh, well, you need to know the numbers today. That information is still coming in. It won't change whether or not there's 35 students that show up or 105 students that show up. We have to be prepared. So you can't prepare with the thought of, oh, there's only going to be 35 kids, so we'll just have some cupcakes and some juice and call it a day. And then 100 kids show up, because then what are you going to do? The food and everything is being donated. They're getting as many donations in as they can, and this is an institution that has been going on for over 20 years. This is an activity that's been established. So when it comes to talking about the financial aspect of it and offering it to all of the kids at the high school have the ability to go. This is not excluding anyone. So whether or not they attend, that's up to them, but that's the same to go if there's a barbecue the next day. Some people will go, some people won't. It won't matter. That's not the point. The point of what the after prom was created for still remains. It was meant as a safe alternative to going out and drinking, going out and doing other activities that you shouldn't be doing after a prom, and it's to give kids something to do. That's what the full intent is, and I am hoping that we're not going to just keep pushing it off to the building principal, because then you have opened up the conversation of, well, if you're covering this, then you're not covering that, and you're not covering that, which was never the intent. It was given in good faith as this is a great program to keep our kids occupied and safe. That's why we were giving the money to it. And I understand that it was just a matter of accounting versus where it's coming from and where it's not coming from. But to tell the principal to take from the budget that he didn't have budgeted already and say, suddenly, take 5,000 from your budget, and now the number dropped to 2,500. Most likely, I don't know what the number drop was about to. But either way, I'm saying, I personally believe that this is something that is being offered to everyone. So we can't, I want everyone to at least acknowledge that part of it, and it isn't excluding anyone.
Ms. Woodfolk?
Listen, I understand the board's, I understand your concern. And to me, when you have two different opinions, we have to come meet in the middle, okay? So that's why when I looked at the video, most people was concerned about the $5,000. So what I tried to do is bring it down to 25. It doesn't matter where the money coming from. It's going to the kids. Okay, I understand your concern as well. But let me say this. Let me say this. If you guys want to know the exact number of the students that's going to be at the after prom, no, not come to the after prom.
Excuse me, Ms.
But
Wilco,
I-
give me 1 second. I'm not trying, please, comments from the audience. If you would like to speak, please fill out a card so that you can speak at the mic.
I'm saying that let's compromise, let's table it until we find out how
We
many
don't-
kids.
That's not what I didn't ask it for it to be tabled. I want to make sure everybody's voice is heard on the board.
Right, but I
So-
mean, but we can't tell you no number today. It's impossible because the permission slip never came back. I even tried myself. It's impossible. I don't know. I tried to find out. I don't know. But I do want the kids to have the after prom, okay, and like they did last year. We can't afford, the board said no for the 5,000. Like I said, let's meet in the middle and do the 25. I don't know what else to say.
I don't think tabling it would,
Well, that's
well, the only reason why, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think tabling
Yeah.
it would work because
Yeah,
there's purchases that need to be made and there's not enough time if we don't move forward with this to get it in time for that, so.
Right, that's why I said to get tables.
Are there any other comments? So we're going to do a roll call vote on number 5, and that's per our solicitor. So can I have a motion for education items 1 through 4, and then 6 through 9?
Motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a roll call vote, Mr. Butler, on education item number 5?
Wait a minute, before you do a roll call, then, I mean, I'm thinking also when Ms. Raquel Irons came up to the podium and saying that she wants all the kids to go on a trip. I mean, and since she's put this out on the table, I mean, like she said, if we do for one, we gotta do for all. So where are we gonna go from there?
So that conversation got opened up because instead of the board making the payment the way, under the terminology that we did previously, it was opened up and said that the building principal should then have to take it from the budget. And when that happened.
So let's
that-
do a point of clarity. It was not directed, it was asked of the principal. The principal said that he wouldn't have a problem with it. Once he spoke with Dr. Ryan and Dr. Sanchez. So he could have said no. We're here right now for 2,500, and so there's a motion on the floor right now.
Again, so Ms. Raquel, Irons expressed about the other teachers, the other students going on trips. Okay, so what are we gonna do about that? I mean, like she said, can I finish? If we're gonna do for one, we have to do for all. So, I mean, and I agree with her. So do we have enough money to allow these students to go on a trip before we vote on this?
I don't think that that's a
So-
question. Only-
So this is, I made this perfectly clear to the board members on many occasions. We decided to do something a couple months ago, not consulting with our budget for this fiscal year. And I did also inform all of the board members that there will be other things coming down the pike that will need for students. And I'm not going to repeat what was said. What I'm going to say is I made it very clear to every board member, Other items were gonna come down the pike, and when you make this one decision, you're not thinking about the things that's coming down the pike. So right now, we're gonna do a roll call vote on number 5, and we can further this conversation after the roll call vote.
No, but that's not fair then. So if we pass this, then she's going to come up and ask the.
Turn your mic on, please.
My voice not loud enough?
No, it's not.
Then it's not fair for Ms. Irons to ask about the trip for the students that can't go, they can't afford to go on the trip. So which way we go now?
Okay, but are we paying for everyone to go on the trips? Because this is not the only school that is having difficulties with trips and affording
Okay,
things.
right, but.
This is a district-wide thing. I think we're.
Excuse me, if you're in the audience, please fill out a card if you would like to speak.
Right, but what you're saying is everybody going on the trip? Well, is everybody going to the after prom?
Everyone doesn't go on the
That question
trip.
can go both ways.
Yeah, it goes both ways, but the other part of this is,
So you just want things to go your way,
No.
which is just this, after prom, which I'm for it too.
No.
But can we afford for the kids to go on another trip?
okay, so number one, the money that, to speak to the president's comments, the money for the salaries has nothing to do with this discussion, because that money came out of the grant, has nothing to do with the current budget, because that was taken from funds that came in after the budget had been set. So this has nothing to do with the conversation currently being had. Second of all, the kids going on the trip, I'm not saying that that's not a problem. What I'm saying is the issue that was on the table was the after prom. Now, when it comes to the trips, again, I would have no problem with trying to find alternate methods of coming up with funds to support going on the trips. Now, we've had other people that have gone and gotten grants to cover busing. We had a trip coming up where someone else volunteered to pay the fee for the buses and things of that nature. So I'm not saying that these are not important.
Okay, so what are you saying?
What-
That's my point. What are you saying?
What I'm saying is, the only reason that this discussion is coming up in this manner is because it was changed from the board approving it and it being a higher level to the school itself is going to pay the fee. And because that opened up that budget conversation, then the budget conversation was, oh, well, if you can afford that, then you can afford this, which shouldn't have happened to begin with. That would have been a conversation to have in private. But the other part of it is, we can't turn around and suddenly say, fine, if this class doesn't go on this trip, or if we don't find funds for this trip, which, by the way, I don't know how we've been looking to find funds for this, but then no one goes, and no one has anything. You're doing an all or nothing in a weird way. So it's not that. What it should be is, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say yes to the after prom so they can get to planning, and then we start looking to find funds to make sure that this trip can happen as well. It's not a discussion that needs to just be a straight no, yes or no. It should be other areas.
This money business is really getting on my.
Please put your mic on, and then after your comment, Ms. Woodfolk, we're going to move on to the roll
I
call
mean,
vote.
because we're trying to say this everybody, okay? And it's really, really getting on. I will want the kids to have what they deserve, and which is both, okay? Which is both. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. If Ms. Irons, come to the board and ask, can those kids go? Then we're gonna have to find some money somewhere, because we cannot do, for some and not do for others.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, Mr. Butler?
Yes, you may, Madam President. This is a roll call vote on item number 5.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Ms. Womack, I'm sorry, Ms. Womack.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Woodfolk, you're next.
That's what you said, Ms.
Ms. Womack,
Yes.
Ms. Woodfolk,
Why, yes, yes. Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Barley,
Yes.
Ms. Harris Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Perry is excused. Ms. Monroe Whitsett,
Yes.
motion passes.
May I have a motion to approve finance item B, 1 through 7? Please use your mics.
Motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? You have a question, Mr. Lafferty?
Yes, on line 1.
Item 1.
Yes. The last meeting I asked for scholarships for our children. Got no response, so I'm going to have to abstain from this vote.
From number 1.
Yes.
Wait a minute, approve the Delaware County budget in the amount of 800 for fiscal. The Southeast local share of the above budget is 350, supporting documentation attached. Huh? Oh.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? No, you're abstaining from 1.
Abstained, I'm sorry.
For number 1, correct?
Yes.
For number 1. Motion carries. May I have a motion for HR items C, 1 through 13?
Motion. Second. Sorry, motion.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I would like to congratulate our retiree, Ms. Carol Rozzi, for her 7 years of service to the district. We wish you well in your future endeavors.
Wow.
May I have a motion to accept item D, policy 1?
Second.
Motion.
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to accept new business item E, property 1?
Motion.
Second. It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Woodfolk? Do you have a report for the Delaware County Community College?
Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. I have a budget highlights here for 24-25. Delaware. I had a meeting with Delaware County Community College last night. They are increasing in tuition by $1 per credit hour, increasing in fees by $2, and let me see the next page. Okay, so the 1% increase that totals $8,833,101. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Woodford. Mr. Lafferty?
Could I get a copy of that, please?
Mr. Lafferty said, can you have a copy of that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Delaware County,
Madam President, just as a point
Yes.
of clarification, that is attached to the resolution and board docs.
thank you, Mr. Butler. Delaware County Intermediate Unit, I have no report at this time. Mr. Fowler, do you have the Legislative Council of PSBA report?
Yes, Madam President, just a
Thank
couple
you.
things. House Bill 1553, which is the suicide prevention hotline on student IDs, it was passed the House unanimously on March 25th, so it requires schools to include the suicide prevention hotline telephone number on student ID cards. And also, another one is House Bill 1875, AP exam cost reduction. It passed in the House by a 145 to 57 vote on March 19th, and this bill will cover an 80% exam fee reduction for all AP and IB students. And that will conclude my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Mr. Lafferty?
When you're doing this legislation research, I understand the children of Philadelphia, if their income is under $63,000 for the year, after their grants and scholarships, that Temple will give them a full ride. Maybe in your research you can find out, why can't the kids from Delaware County get the same opportunity?
I can look into it and let you know.
Thank you. Parent Student Advisory Committee, Ms. Harris Johnson and Ms. Woodfolk.
Not at this time, Madam President, and one of the reasons is because I have been out doing for personal reasons, and we have not been able to meet. And as soon as my personal business is cleared up, and I'm here permanently, then we will be able to meet and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harris Johnson. Mr. DiOrio, do you have a solicitor's report?
No report tonight, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Dr. Sanchez, do you have an administrative team update?
Not tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there comments from citizens regarding non-agenda items?
There is an additional comment connected to an agenda item.
Okay. We can have it.
So I'd like to invite Felicia Coffey back to the mic, please.
Yes, Ms. Irons had brought up about the students going on a trip. I'm a little nervous, I'm sorry. I tend to look down when I'm nervous, I apologize. But, so she said all students should be afforded. I wanted to know specifically if you guys are taking that from the principal's budget. And prior years before that, the $5,000 was allotted to the after prom. So because you cut the $5,000 into half, so half of the five, can it go towards the students with the trip, and then the other half go towards the after prom? I think that would just solve every problem that we have here tonight.
Oh, we're gonna work it out.
Thank you.
So that's a suggestion for the board. Is any board members have any response to any?
Well, I'm just going to say that we are going to work it out one way or the other. If we're going to do for our kids for the prom, we could do it for the kids to go on the trip.
But it's not coming from the principal's budget, correct?
Well, we have to talk about it
Then
as
that
a
would be
board.
$5,000 coming from his budget.
Well, listen, I'm just one board member. I don't know what the other 8 thinks. So I'm only going to speak for myself. We are going to work it
Anybody else
out.
want to speak on it?
My only comment is that was just talking about I believe the 11th grade trip. Then there's the 12th grade trip. And there are several other fun, field trips that are also trying to make arrangements, so.
So was the problem transportation, Ms. Rock? Oh, well, I can help you with that. We can get Yellowbird. They donate.
You have to have the approval, that's a conversation, can you speak to Dr. Sanchez about that?
Yes. So I can aid in that if need be.
Transportation?
Mm-hmm, yep,
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
thank you, Ms. Coffey. Are there any other Not,
So that means the after prom is getting the 5,000 if the problem is solved?
I wish.
thank you, Ms. Coffey, for that one. So announcements for the future meeting. Committee of the Whole will be Thursday, May 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Board Business Meeting will be Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So my,
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great night.
The final weekend of the musical is this weekend, just in case anyone's wondering. We have show Friday night at 7:30, Saturday and Sunday are at 2. And the show is Shrek, just in case anyone's wondering.